app.js, we've initialized state with these things. And we render the header and the thing list. Cool. All right, so let's make our thing list look at least slightly better. At least think about how we might do that. Looking in here, okay, it looks like in the static version, we have a class of things. And if we look at that inside the browser, I've got that open in another tab. Inspect this. Just as I suspected, the UL has a class of things. Each LI has a class of thing. So those are the rules we need to pull over. So let's take this things rule. And over here inside ThingList CSS, let's paste that. We're going to have to change it, right? Because inside ThingList, the class name on our UL is capital T, capital L, ThingList. So instead of things, this becomes ThingList. Okay. That's a little better. We got these nice rounded corners and a little shadow. And over here we have a few rules here. We'll worry about some of those later, but let's go ahead and take this one for thing and thing last child. And we didn't actually make thing.css yet. Let's make it. Oops. Capital T thing.css. Paste these in, and once again, we change the class name to capital T thing to match our component. We're going to have to import that, right? In thing.js. Import ./thing.css. Refresh. All right, now we've got some subtle borders there on all but the last one. Now looking back at the static version. So why does it look so much better? Let's inspect this further. Looks like inside each LI, I have a checkbox, and I have a div with a class of details. Inside there, I have a div with a class of name, blah, blah, blah. So I think the easiest way to make our markup match this might be to actually copy it from here. We could do that either from the DevTools or from here. If you open up static HTML, look for an li class thing. It has all this stuff in it. So let's just copy all that stuff, the input and the div details. Copy it. Go to our thing component. And I'll leave thing.name there so I don't forget it, but we're going to totally change the structure. Ugh, stop doing that. Don't be a jerk. Okay, so we're going to have an input type checkbox. I'm not going to worry about making it work right now. Just have it there so it'll look the same at least. Okay, we have a div class name. So this is where thing.name goes. All right. Got a span with a button in it. It's a trash button. Now we've got some classes in here, right, that we need to change the class name. I'm not sure why it keeps doing that. There we go. Now they're all class name. I think. Did I miss one? Why is it still complaining? Element li has no corresponding closing tag. I've got something nested wrong here. Here's this div closed. Here's this span closed. Here's the details div closed. Problem is input needs to be a self-closing tag. It really does matter. So empty elements in HTML are fine, but you have to self-close any empty tags in XML, which is what JSX really is. Look over at a React version. Okay, that's ghastly, but our markup matches. So we have some more rules we need to pull over. Looking at static CSS, okay, we have something for input, or more specifically for the details div when it is an adjacent sibling to a checked input. We have something for the checkbox itself. We have something for the details div, something for the name. Let's do that much, see where that gets us. So a few lines of this. Okay, up to here. That's a little hard to select, especially when your font's this big. I will paste that much in chat. All that stuff relates to the thing component. So although the component itself is tiny, it's actually going to have quite a bit of CSS. And we know this is now capital T thing. Save that. That is starting to look considerably better. Our button looks horrible, but that's progress. Unknown DOM property, content editable. Did you mean content editable camel case? What gives? Now in the DOM, it's all lowercase. But remember I pointed out that in JSX, they've fixed all the inconsistencies and camel cased it. Because the property, I should say the property on the DOM is camel cased, but it usually is not when you do it in HTML. But HTML is case insensitive. So that's something else we may need to change inside Thing.js. Content capitally editable. Now notice it says, a component is content editable and contains children managed by React. It is now your responsibility to guarantee that none of those nodes are unexpectedly modified or duplicated. This is probably not intentional. Let's just keep that in mind for future reference. We can get rid of that, but the point is, sooner or later, we want to be able to actually edit the items in there. But that's a hint that we're going to have to, it's a little more complicated than with plain old CSS. And we'll see why in a bit, but go ahead and take that off of the name. Okay. So what's the problem with our button? One problem is probably that there's a class in the CSS that we still haven't pulled over. Another problem is it uses font awesome, and we haven't included font awesome, have we? No, we sure haven't, Dave. We should probably do that. Good idea. Let's see, how did I do it last time?